big asset actually may be a liability. Maybe someone stopped paying the mortgage. Maybe they're pre-foreclosure. All those things are going to impact how the property settlement agreement is going to look.
And I mean, you make a good point in that, someone says my house on Zillow is worth X, Y, and Z, and it's not. I'm not here to disparage Zillow. What I'm as I'll
Sure.
an example like this, right? Like, if you own your home, you go on Zillow.com, Realtor.com, Redfin.com, and you put in your property address, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get three different numbers for what your home is worth, and so and one of those could be true. I don't know. Who knows, right? Again, like
Right.
it depends on comps and other factors, but it's kind of like I think of it as going to a doctor versus going to WebMD, right? Like
Yes.
if I have a sniffy nose and some other symptoms, I can go on WebMD and get a diagnosis. I could also go to like I think MayoClinic.com and get another set
Yes.
of potential diagnoses. But at the end of the day, if I want to get that precise diagnosis, I got to talk to a doctor, right?
Right.
As the same way I think with real estate, where it's like you can get a lot of different, and you can even get your neighbor, right? Like, hey, Moki, my neighbor just sold their house for 600,000,
Uh-huh.
and but Redfin says that it's worth 500. What's going on?
Right.
There's a reason why that is the case, but you have to go through the process to find that out, right?
Right.
So but again, like you mentioned, even with regards to like this idea of mortgages, right? Like some people, question becomes like, if you sell your house, what is my house worth? Your house being worth something is one thing, but it's the price of your home, the value of your home over against the balance on your mortgage, right?
Exactly.
Like what you make from the sale of your home depends on the realtor fees,
Yes.
the sale price that you agree on, and then there's that due on sale clause from your mortgage that says that when you sell your home, the entirety of your mortgage is due on sale.
Right.
If that number is larger than your sales price, then you have
Right.
a problem.
Oh, absolutely. And
So
it's good to get ahead of that problem, before it's too late. Yes.
so part of coming to a realtor is like, so let's keep the analogy of the whole doctor thing going.
Yeah.
You can go if you're more, if you have positive equity in your home and you go to a realtor and you say, Moki, I want to sell it. It's like going to a doctor and if you want to get like some kind of enhancement done, right? Like now
Right.
you're in the clear and you have the potential to beautify what's already there.
Right.
On the other hand, if your mortgage is higher than what your house is worth, then you're going more to an emergency room doctor. Now, at
Right.
that point, you're trying to stop the bleeding, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And the bleeding is you're trying to make sure you do not go into foreclosure, right?
Yes. Yes.
Almost anything is better than going to foreclosure.
Yes,
But,
absolutely.
but again, you need to go to a doctor to figure out which one of those you're going to be getting yourself into.
That's right.
And so let's say and so let's say you get the value of the home,
Hmm.
um, and it is a positive situation
Yes.
that if they sold their home, they would get some kind of uh, they would make some kind of money.
Sure.
What happens then with regards to like their relationship and with working with you?
Yeah, so it depends how, what the scenario is. But if that were the case, then what we would talk about is, is that the proceeds from the sale of the home, is that going to be split 50-50, or is someone going to keep more of the proceeds because they're walking away, and the other person's going to live there, and potentially when they sell it for good, they may make that, those proceeds back. So there's a number of different ways, and I plug them in for my clients, and we talk about each scenario. Because sometimes too, there's when you get the home value, and then you see what the actual mortgage payment is, because it fluctuates, especially in Loudoun County. If your escrow changes, your property tax changes, that your mortgage payment potentially could change.
Right.
And so people don't really know, $300 swing is a lot. And that may happen in year to year. And so someone really needs to know, hey, can I want to stay in this house. It's the childhood home for, my kids. It's where all our memories are, but can I afford it? And that is another piece. And that's another thing that a realtor really can help on. The realtor has an opportunity to take a look at your credit score, take a look at what that mortgage payment may look like for you if you were to refinance. All of those things are completely out of my wheelhouse. And I can't even begin to give advice on that. And so often if people are coming to mediation without knowing that information, it's really wasting their time to a degree, or they're spending, at my hourly rate, for mediation of something that may not actually be accurate. And so I'm big on, time is money. And, if you come prepared and you have all of your information at once, you will spend less to mediate, you'll spend less to divorce. All those things will be, it's just better to get ahead of it. And that's really, I think, the biggest point here. And going to the professional, don't just rely on the internet to make these big decisions.
Now, man, I'm every time we talk, I got my idea of what I want to say and ask, but you just dropped so much knowledge. I have to process it because my brain's not big enough. So there's a lot going on there's a lot going on in the process of working with you. There's a lot, because it's like you have this previous relationship and you're basically having to make sense of all of that, along with not just an attorney, but like, because you're not an attorney and you're working for their best interest, you're trying to make sense of their relationship so that it preserves both of their integrity.
Absolutely.
So you're dealing with the emotional side, but also you got this financial side. And it seems like this financial piece causes so many problems.
It really does. It often, it could be the reason why people are divorcing. And, if they're already at the point where the relationship is over and they need to take a look at their financial situation, what does their future look like? Because that's, like you were saying, that's my whole goal. It's, I see people in pain. I take no sides. It's completely neutral. But my goal always is to get those folks to just move on with their lives and move on in peace. When they're at peace, they become better parents, better employees, better, business owners, better neighbors. All of that is important. And having that conflict and that anger, it doesn't benefit, not only them, it doesn't benefit anyone. It's so that financial piece, yes, is super painful. It could be a big surprise, but there's no benefit in waiting to hear bad news. Get everything, if you're going through a painful process anyway, get it figured out and then figure out how to move forward. And that's really what I'm here for. But I do rely on, a realtor figuring that out for them so they could come to me and say, because I will stop a mediation and say, we really can't go forward. You don't know your situation, and I'm not going to keep charging you an hourly rate and just run up, your time and your bills on mediation if you're just not quite prepared. And then I have done that several times because I don't feel good about it, and I don't want them to feel resentful that I would be taking advantage of. It's very clear what needs to be discussed in mediation. They have a checklist. I send it beforehand, but the realtor piece is the big one.
Wow. I mean, and it's, you talk about relying on a real estate professional to be able to give them precise information about one aspect that they need. On the flip side, I could say the same thing, in that in my case, I'm responsible for the house and what goes on with the property of the house.
Mm-hmm.
If it got down to like a relational aspect, not because I don't care, but because it's not my expertise, I would be saying, go to Erin in Atlantic Mediation, and you can help take care of that piece because that's your area of expertise. And
Yes.
then, you talked about the mortgage and credit and different things like that. What I would do is then go to, because again, you can do mortgage calculators all day long on the internet.
Hmm.
I would go to my preferred lender that I work with and I trust, and I'd say, hey, look, this is what they're trying to get at.
Yes.
Where do they actually land? And so I think one of the things that is becoming clearer as we talk is that there's a like a web of professionals that work together for a family,
Yes.
so that they can, like you said, move on. And the more connected that web of professionals is, uh,
Absolutely.
the more precise information that you can you have, and the faster you can actually move on.
Exactly. Exactly. It's almost like the analogy of ripping off a band-aid. You need to do it relatively quickly, and you have to have some power behind it. And you only have that power by being knowledgeable about your situation and the full spectrum of what you have going on. Because I feel too, when you don't know everything up front, you're constantly in a state of anxiety because you keep getting surprised. It's like, oh no, I didn't realize. And they're just, that continues to, it's just a negative impact on your emotions and your outlook. But have that, exactly like you said, the web of professionals is super important. And just getting a whole portfolio. Plus, I think you mentioned earlier about, if there's foreclosure, someone doesn't realize that the other party's not paying the mortgage. That is something you need to stop and figure out right away. There's no sense of putting it off. And you've mentioned it's really damages credit, for these folks that go through that.
It damages everything.
Yeah.
Not just your credit. I mean, yeah. So it damages everything. And if I've, for unfortunately, I've spoken with some people that have been in foreclosure, or we went through foreclosure, and like when you have to say I went through foreclosure, that's why I can't buy a house now, or that's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
because I want to. And it's like, it's this idea or the tragedy of wanting to move on. And
Yeah.
you have to wait, I think, 7 years in order to be able to purchase again.
Yikes.
So it's painful when the problem, one of the problems with foreclosure is you actually never get to move on until all that's cleared off your credit and your record, and you can move on, right?
Wow. Yeah, it's a long time.
Right. So, and man, my memory escapes me because of the cold. I'm not sure if it's 7 years. I know it's a long time. It's years. You have to sit there in limbo, and it just ruins a lot of everything. So, if you can get out of foreclosure, just it's whatever you have to do to get out of it. It's always better than going into it. That's a problem.
Sure.
So, man, I feel like, all right, we got to talk again because we talked through so much, and there's so much still that's on my. I wrote even more questions down that we're gonna need to. I want to ask you in the future.
Okay, great.
We're running. I got all these meetings today, but it's always great hanging with you, Erin. I really appreciate the time, your insights, and just it's really clear that you care about the people that you serve.
Very much so.
And,
yes, thank you.
And for me, if anybody, and because don't get, we're talking about separation divorce here just because that's one of the situations that I need some clarity on for my work. But you do deal with lots of other kinds of mediation.
I do. I work with relationship mediation, and that's between friends or between family members and working through issues. And I also work a lot on workplace mediation. So employees and employers, usually pre-litigation, talking through, how the wrongs at work could be remedied. I work through that quite a bit, actually. So yes, divorcing couples, certainly in this as it relates to real estate, but there are other areas too.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I want to make that clear just so people know that you do a whole lot more.
Yes.
And you can intervene in a whole lot more, a bigger range of situations. So,
Thank you for that. Yes.
yeah. I want people to know that you can help them with a lot more than just what we're talking about now. Um, and so, I mean, with that being said, Erin, thanks so much for your time. I don't
Sure.
want to keep you longer than I have to before the Wi-Fi decides to go rogue on us. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been
A
fun,
lot of
Erin.
wind
And
out there.
yeah. Enjoy the rest of your week, Erin. And I think we might have to get on with you, after tomorrow, because I feel like
Yes.
we're gonna need some help navigating, some of the whatever happens tomorrow. I think we're all gonna need some help, and
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and maybe we can get together and talk more about that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love that.
Cool. All right, Erin, it's been real.
All right. Good to see you. Take care.
All right.
Have a good week.